Hello everyone and welcome back to Critical Builds. So today we're going to be doing the Moon Druid. I'm very excited about this video. The 2024 Moon Druid got significant buffs and I like this much better than the 2024 version in my opinion. Alright, so let's start with level 1, of course, the species. I'm going to highly recommend we choose the race Mark Warding Dwarf. This is Eberron, so a lot of DMs might not allow this race. So if you can't do this race, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it until at least level 8 because you really want to get to level 7 and 8 as soon as possible with this build. And it's nice to have the Armor of Agathis running, but it's not something that you necessarily need in this build. It's not going to make or break the build. But I think it's really good and adds a lot of flavor to the build and a lot of reflection damage. So yeah, go Mark of Warding Dwarf if you can. If you can't go Mark of Warding Dwarf, I guess you could choose Goliath. It could be pretty cool. A flying race, or a race that can fly, that has the ability to fly, I think like the Aasimar or the Dragonborn, because then what you could do is while you're wild shaped, you can then use those. You can use the Aasimar transformation. You could use the Dragonborn transformation. Even use like the breath weapon. So yeah, I would recommend one of those two races. Yeah, ideally, I guess Gem Dragon, the Amethyst, to get force resistance, because that's going to be a very common damage type for high level monsters, assuming you're going to go at higher levels, and that's probably the best type to resist now in 2024 according to the early versions of the monster manual. When this is being uploaded and recorded, the full monster manual is not out yet, just some bits and pieces YouTubers have been saying that already have it, and everything that they're saying is that a lot of these high level monsters are now dealing force damage, so we need to have a way to resist it, and you can do that with the Gem Dragonborn Amethyst race. So that's the race I would recommend if you can't use this one. Getting on to ability scores, I know you're going to be looking at this and saying, 8 con, what is wrong with you? Well, every single time you wild shape and polymorph, you assume the physical stats of the beast. So you don't need a good strength or charisma, because a strength or con, because those stats, like for a bear for example, you'll get I think 19 con or 16 or 17 con, and then like 18, 19 strength depending on which bear, and you just got to remember to choose those. Your health will be horrible until you wild shape, but that's why we're taking alert, and we have a high dex to help us go first so we can get that wild shape in, or you just already pre-wild shaped going into the fight, because in 2024 wild shape now just lasts half your druid level, there's nothing can get you out of it unless you choose to end it. So it's not like once the temporary hit points drop, you drop out of it. So yeah, I would highly recommend alert, dump con, dump strength, get that dex up if we need that 17 wisdom, and then I like doing 14 int, because you'll see at level 1, I have it right here, we get primal order, and you can get magician, so you can add your wisdom modifier to int checks, and you can be really good. You can be really good at arcana checks. I mean, it's certain ones that let you add it to. I think it's nature and arcana, so you can be really good at nature and arcana as a druid, which is nice because we don't need the medium armor proficiency from primal order, because they're always going to be wild shaped, and when we're wild shaped, our armor class is wisdom mod plus 13, so that's why we need to get that wisdom to 20 as soon as possible. That's why another reason I want to go straight level 8 and not take any warlock dips. I would recommend guidance, magic stones, shillelagh. Those are some good ones. Some good spells could be a good berry. Absorb elements for like level 1. Ice knife's amazing. Healing word, and if it's outdoorsy, of course, speak with animals, animal friendship. But that's level 1. Level 2, we're going to get wild shape. Wild shape has changed in this now, so we get wild companion is now a feature that is automatically known. It's not like you had before, it was like an optional feature. Now it's just like a feature, so it's kind of cool. I would recommend this later on once you get to level 8, and I'll get to that. Wild shape now has changed, so for moon druids it's triple the level of your druid level, but for now it's you get temporary hit points based on your current druid level. So 2 is just nothing, and physical stats change, and you don't assume their HP like you did before. So yeah. Of course, level 3, we get our subclass, so of course we're going to be going Circle of the Moon. So now we get access to some good forms. They also change it to where you can only have access to 4 forms at once. At this level, choose the Brown Bear and whatever you want. Brown Bear is going to be the best overall. There are some level 1 forms that can do multiple, like 3 attacks, I think, but the Brown Bear has a better to hit than that, that is like a dinosaur. But I would just recommend the Brown Bear. It has a great strength, great con, so it's going to bump your HP up while you're in this form and give you amazing temporary hit points. So starting from level 3, assuming you got the race to get Armor of Agathis, I would then cast Armor of Agathis pre-combat, or if you can't get it off pre-combat, you can always cast it as a bonus action and then Wild Shape. And then you'll get the cold damage retaliation, which is nice. And what's cool about Armor of Agathis now is as long as you have temporary hit points after you cast a spell and you don't, and your temporary hit points don't go to 0 in all of that fighting and combat, you can keep dealing that Armor of Agathis damage. So later on, I think at level 5, we'll get a feature that we can basically burn first level spell slots for Wild Shape. So we're going to want to keep using that to keep our temporary HP up, so we can keep dealing reflection damage on top of our normal damage from just being a Brown Bear and getting multi-attack at level 3, which is amazing. We also get less second level spells. I'm going to recommend Moonbeam, Healing Spirits, Summon Beast, Utility, Aid, and Pass Without a Trace. What's cool is we get to cast spells now through Circle of the Moon, and it's only a certain amount of spells. And once we get to level 5, I'm going to talk about a spell that I want to use a lot, but that we get for free, and we get to cast it as being wild shaped, so that's pretty nice. At level 4, we get access to Water Beast. I'm going to recommend Giant Octopus and Hunter Shark. Those are pretty good options for Water Beast. And we're going to get Warcaster here. We need to make sure we have to maintain our concentration, because we can cast some spells while wild shape, but not all spells. So we need to make sure that that concentration spell that we cast on ourselves is going to last throughout the wild shaped. And you'll see we get even more features on level 6 to keep our concentration. So with Warcaster also, we're never going to lose concentration. At level 5, we get the feature I mentioned earlier called Wild Resurgence. This allows us basically it allows us to use spell slots to refreshen our wild shape, and you can also do it the other way around, but that's only once per long rest. I would not even bother doing that one. But basically from now on, every single first level spell slot is a wild shape charge, and you can think of it as 15 HP at this level, 18 HP at the next level. Basically, those first level slots are just triple our Druid level in HP from going forward, which is pretty cool. Level 3 spells, we're always going to have Conjure Animals prepared. At this level, this is the spell that I would always be using. Conjure Animals got a change. I'm not going to say the buff or nerf. It's just different spell now. Basically, you cast a pack. You cast the spell, and within a radius you pick this pack of spectral animals appear, and if anyone enters the range of the spectral animals, they have to make a save. I think it's dexterity, and if they fail, they take damage, but it is a fail, save, or suck, so there's no half damage, unfortunately. That's the only thing I don't like about Conjure Animals. But at level 7, we're going to get a different spell. But just from level 5 and 6, and just to conserve spell slots when you're around level 8 to 10 and you don't have too many 4th level slots, we're going to be using Conjure Animals. It's a good enough version to use. Basically, think of it, it's not an emanation from yourself, but you can think of it as an emanation spell that every single time it hits someone, it will deal damage, and yeah, that's it. So basically, you run it around the combat, hit every single enemy every single round, and what's nice is it just uses your concentration, and it moves for free when you move, so you don't have to worry about it eating up an action or bonus action or anything, which is nice. Level 6, we get the feature I was talking about, which is a Constitution boost. We get to add our Wisdom modifier to all con saves, not even just concentration. So with this Constitution boost plus Warcaster, we're never going to lose concentration. And remember, whenever we go into our new beast forms, like Polar Bear, for example, at CR2, you remember when you change your con stat, you're going to have a +4 to con saves, and then plus your wisdom modifier, because you technically will have a 19 con. So you're never going to lose concentration unless you get hit with a big crit, and then you take like 50 damage or something, which is amazing. Then on level 7, we can get another feature to just passively boost our damage. I mean, an extra 4 damage per turn is pretty cool. And here we go. Level 7, this character is complete. Technically, at level 8, with 20 wisdom, the character is more complete. But at level 7 is when we can finally do the thumbnail. So you're probably thinking, damn, I don't remember Moon Druids being able to transform into giant apes. But, through polymorph, we can do that. And what's cool is at least Primal Strike will apply while we're a giant ape, which is pretty cool. And I would save this for boss battles when you just want to soak up a lot of damage. So both Polymorph and Armor of Agathis got a change. I explained Armor of Agathis before, but I'm going to explain it again. So Polymorph is very similar now to how Wild Shape got changed. Instead of just assuming the HP of the giant ape, it's now 150 something temp HP points, which is amazing, because as long as you can cast Armor of Agathis and then go into this Polymorph form, you have 150 damage worth of Armor of Agathis at your disposal. So you just go in there, soak up some damage in melee, attack, and you'll be able to do a lot of reflection damage. And I think it's a really cool build to be able to do. Of course, you could always try to grapple enemies so they're kind of forced to attack you and take that reflection damage. That's something I'll talk about as we go into the next steps of this build. But also, we need to talk about Conjure Woodland Beings. This is going to be the other spell that I'm going to highly recommend. And I would say, for the most part, you're probably going to, if there's a lot of enemies, Conjure Woodland Beings is going to do way more damage than going to a giant ape and casting Armor of Agathis. It's just kind of cool to be able to do that. I would really only do it for boss fights when there's like a big boss and maybe like an ad or two. Then I think this polymorphing into the giant ape is going to be a lot better. Unfortunately, what sucks about this is this kind of peaks at this level and it kind of dies off as you get higher and higher in levels, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. But it's really good at level 7, 8, 9, 10, just being able to go into a giant ape and have it deal where you deal all 157 worth of reflection damage. And yeah, you also can get Conjure Minor Elementals. This is the broken spell of 2024. The thing is, it's a whole action to cast it, and this build really won't abuse it too much because we don't get that many attacks in our beast forms. I mean, some beasts will have like 3 attacks, but without consistent advantage. But what I was going to say is also, if you're going to either do the Polymorph or Conjure Minor Elementals, I would highly recommend burning a first level slot or Wild Shape, which is basically the same resource at this point, for Find Familiar, so you can get advantage on your first attack and at least ensure we get that Primal Strike damage. But yeah, level 8, we're just going to cap out Wisdom, and that's the build. So let's go into this. I talked about this, but we're going to be casting Armor of Agathis. I would say use it as a 3rd or 4th level slot, and then we're going to use Wild Shape for 21 temp HP, and this will make it to where we reflect that damage, and then hopefully you don't take 21 damage in one turn, and then you can recast Wild Shape to refresh that HP. But if you take more than 21 damage, oh well. You can't really recast it at that point. I mean, you can, but it's too much of a cost to. And yeah, I'll use Conjure Animals for the most part for any AoE damage. So how Conjure Animals is going to work is you cast it on yourself. You cast it, and it's an emanation from yourself, 10 feet, and works the same exact way as Conjure Animals. So you can run around and hit everybody with it. And the only thing that's neat about this is damage is once per turn. So you can use your action to hold your action to move on someone else's turn, and then on someone else's turn you can run around again and hit every single person with the Conjure Woodland Being spell. So effectively you could hit every single enemy twice per turn, starting from round 2, because for round 1 you got to cast it on yourself, and then bonus action Wild Shape, and then from round 2 and on you can use this passively, which is great. But yeah, I think this build is amazing. You can do a lot of mostly AoE damage, and you can do some decent single target damage. But with the Armor of Agathis in conjunction with This, I think it's really cool. With polymorph, I think it's really cool, and also armor of Agathis just with wild shape. As we keep getting higher in druid levels, we can really get a lot of temp HP. So some long-term progression. What's great is we get at level 14, we'll get an extra 2d10 on top of Primal Strike, and then 15 we get our Primal Strike goes up to 2d8. Something I thought about for this build that could really enhance it is going at monk level, because everything we do is unarmed strikes. So as long technically when we wild shape, we're not wearing armor, so we'll be able to do everything will be able to apply. Unfortunately, I think the bonus action, it will only be a d6 of damage, but if on something I'm realizing is build doesn't have much use of a bonus action other than wild shape, and consistently using wild shape on first level slots to up the temp HP. So depending what the level you end this campaign, and one level dip in level dip in monk could be good. But then speaking of that, if your DM did not allow you to pick the race, that Eberron race, then at level 9, I would highly recommend going into a one level warlock dip. Get what you need. You could even do a second one if you want to get lessons of the first ones and some other eldritch invocations, but you don't need it. You just need that one level dip. But yeah, the build really pops off around 8, and then after that it kind of dies off. I guess Moonlight Step could be another thing you can use your bonus action for with. So the monk thing kind of is like all right, but yeah, this is the build. It's a really good early on, and unfortunately I don't want to go too much into the higher levels, especially because we don't have the solidified beast. But however, I watched a YouTube video on someone that has the book right now. It seems like a lot of the beasts are CR 3, 4, 5, and 6 didn't really change much, and they're pretty much the same, so that's unfortunate. So like the giant scorpion is one of the better ones, but the problem is it's like a plus 4 or 5 to hit, which is awful. I kind of wish that they kind of let the hit be your wisdom or something, just to buff some of these forms a little bit. But oh well. But yeah, I think this build is a lot of fun, and I hope you get to play it. I played this build actually at a level 7 one shot, and I loved this build so much. It was a lot of fun. I played it pretty much up until the same exact stats and everything. But yeah, this is the build. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and join the Discord. This whole document alongside this art and the whole PDF with the character sheet is all in the Discord for free. All you gotta do is join. I'm trying to build a D&D community where we can talk about builds, talk about just D&D, maybe even have like if it gets big enough, a place to where DMs can look for people to play in their games online, of course. But yeah, until next time.